Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak coming to you live, fashionably late from Ontario of Canada. And as your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach, it has been my soul's purpose to help women get their shit together so you can break free from the mental prison that you find yourself in and build a life, business, and or career that you are obsessed with, that you cannot wait to wake up to every single day. So the topic that I have for today on today's story time with myself, Yana Kasperczak, is I want to talk about, just really quickly, I'll keep it short and sweet, to the point, since we're already fashionable late, or, running behind and with the schedule, with the routines for today, with the plans for today, we'll keep this short and sweet. The topic for today is what happens to you when you always put others first. And this is not necessarily specific to women, even though these are the things that I have learned from women, and being a woman myself, it is natural for women as natural caregivers to take care of everyone around them. This also applies to many men as well, as most men were raised by their mother, which is the woman which teaches them and conditions them to become a caregiver. Even though men naturally are protectors and providers, they still have that ability and practice of caregiving and taking care of others. And in the process, they can forget and neglect themselves. Consistently putting others first leads into a few challenges, just to name a few. But I would love to hear from you as well. What have you experienced when you put other people first? And if you're doing it consistently and all the time. So one of the things that you can experience is burnout, overwhelm, resentment, because your own needs and your own desires and your own wants feel and often are overlooked. You feel that you don't matter as much. Now, that is definitely your reality and your truth, but that might not be how somebody else sees and views your reality and your truth, because how they see how you're living your life and how you're experiencing your life and how you're showing up, they might see you as you're taking care of everyone around you, which means that you somehow magically find time for yourself, that even those 5 minutes for yourself to go to the bathroom in peace and quiet, while your 4 kids are everywhere, or 6 or 8 kids are everywhere, or even 1 or 2, there still can be very challenging. The number is not necessarily what the point here is. The point is that somebody might view your peace and quiet of 5 minutes in the bathroom or in a bath, as this is, you got your reset time, now you're good to go. Where the reality might be that you need a full day to get away and escape from everything and everyone that you love and cherish dearly, but you still need that time to decompress, to just be you, to hear your voice, to understand your voice, to start to uncover who you are, because in the process of giving and giving and giving and taking care of everyone else, by putting everybody else first and their wants and needs and desires first, you're forgetting of your own, and you're not taking care of your own. You are forgetting who you are. You're forgetting what you want and what you need, because your mind is always on everyone else. And actually, often what happens, the women come to me and they tell me, this is what I want, this is how I want to be taking care of myself or living my life. And then in digging into that, they realize that it's what they've been doing for everybody else, but this is not how they want to be taking care of themselves or be taken care of. And then yet, oftentimes how we take care of others is the very way how we want to be taking care of ourselves. How we show love to others is how we might want to receive it as well. But it's important to have that dialogue, that conversation with your kids, with your friends, with your parents, with your partner, with your spouse, with whomever that you are needing a little bit more help and support from, to allow you to have more time for yourself and take care of yourself and your own needs and wants. Also, when you're putting others first, it tends to create imbalances in those relationships, where you can start to feel that you're being taken for granted, or unappreciated, or not seen, or not acknowledged, or not validated. And in the way, the word that many women use is they feel used. Now, it's great to actually be used. That means that you are useful and you want people in your life to use you. Now, of course, there needs to be boundaries and limitations within those parameters, but you want to be used, because if you're not used, if you're not useful, what's the opposite? This opposite is useless, and none of us want to be useless. Now, if you don't like how you're being used, only you can do something about it. The other person has no idea that you don't like it. They might think that you'll love it. So if you don't like how you're being used, how you're being useful, speak up, say something, set a boundary in place if it's missing. Let them know that I love doing this for you, but I would love to do that for you in this way. How does that sound? Are you open to that? Are you okay with that? Right? Getting the okay with it. Or you might want to going forward, this is what I would appreciate from you. And then say what that is. You got to be clear. You got to be straight to the point. Too often we also get lost in the story. And yes, stories that do matter. Yes, stories are important, but they're important to us. They're not really important to anyone else. Everybody else really just wants to hear the point of what you're trying to get to, what you're trying to make. So practicing getting to the point with the least amount of descriptiveness in the story is going to be helpful. And especially when it comes to men, they like it straight to the point. Yes, some of them might want to hear the story, but primarily they don't. Because the story, it's just that, it's a story, and it can also be changed and rewritten. And it becomes different. And our memory works in that same way as well. What we believe and remember from our past, from even our childhood memories, it got changed over our lifetime, and it is now no longer that original experience, that original story that it once was. Now it can be done in a positive and a negative way, meaning that when you went through something traumatic, you can remember that story and rewrite it in your mind in the way that it becomes your inspiration and your motivation, or becomes your downfall. That's why you see, and I'm sure you might have experienced this, or come across these people where the children were raised in the same household, with the same parents, treated the same way, and one would, by the standards, would be considered a failure, where they, maybe let's say they have nothing to their name and they're sad and they're miserable, and maybe they've even become an addict at this point, and they are just, they can't deal, they can't cope. While the other sibling is thriving and is doing amazing and has, by the standards, right, of the typical standards of the world, has the family, has the kids, has the white picketed fence, has experiences in their life, goes on vacation, does fun things. What's the difference between the two? They had the same opportunities, the same circumstances, the same experiences, the same stories, And yet, one carried through their life the negativity of their experiences, negativity of the stories, and became more of a negative person where they're just in that bubble, focusing on the suffering and the pain, while the other learned from that, saw what they don't want, and used that as inspiration and motivation, got their shit together, and is now thriving. That's the options that we have. Now, on the positive side, hey, Rebecca, how are you doing? Rebecca says, I'm late. I was leaving you a message. Oh, awesome. I'm going to listen to that message. That's why I'm trying to wrap everything up so I can go and listen to some messages that I have received, as I haven't been able to get to them this morning as well. Spend some more time focusing on myself and my inner world, and just being before the sacred circle. So now on the positive side, many of you might find fulfillment in helping others. There is nothing wrong, unless there's something wrong, when you're putting others first and you're helping others, you're taking care of others. You can build amazingly strong connections, relationship, and build an amazing sense of community as well. You can help someone feel seen, heard, validated, understood. As long as all of these are not draining to you, they're gaining. Finding a balance. Everything is about balance. We are all raised to take care of others and help others in need and put others first. And it's great to put others first, but as long as it is not taking away from you. In some cases, you have no choice as a mother or as a father, and you gotta put others first, but then that means you gotta spend that time to refill your cup. Nobody's going to refill your cup for you. You gotta stop and get rid of this expectation to always get love and acknowledgement and validation from everyone. It's great to have it, and it's important to get that from people in your life once in a while. Every day is great, but at the same time, you don't want that to be your source of validation, your source of acknowledgement, your source of self-worth. Because once that's taken away, what are you left with? You gotta cultivate that within yourself for yourself. And usually it's much easier when someone helps you through that process. Now, it's like I said, it's important to have that balance, because if you don't have that balance and you're not prioritizing your self-care and your well-being, like this morning, if I didn't spend my morning for me, I wouldn't have been so available physically, mentally, and emotionally during the sacred circle. And because I spent that time for myself, I was available there, and that's why we're late, because the sacred circle ran a little bit late. Everybody was going through a lot, sharing a lot, talking a lot, and it's important to provide that space. And if I didn't spend that time in the morning for me, for myself, then none of that would have fully taken place. It would have been cut shorter, and everybody might have felt my foulness, so to speak. So it's also my job as a coach to make sure that how I'm feeling, I get that shit together, so it's not transferred onto anyone else through these videos, through the calls, through the group gatherings, through whatever it is that I'm putting out there, even through the message that I might be sending to someone. And that's why I didn't do any of the messages in the morning, because I needed that time for me. I haven't felt like I've had my alone time. And as an introvert, I need that, and I want that, and I choose to have that, and which means I gotta carve that out for myself. So my morning was that way, because I prioritize my self-care, my self-love, and my personal needs, because they're important to me and my well-being. And this is what I help women to understand within themselves as well, the importance of taking care of themselves, their needs, their wants, and their self-care and their self-love, and what that looks like and sounds like and feels like and smells like to you, because it's not necessarily going to be the same to me. Sometimes just putting a little bit of essential oil for me would be already enough, and it just uplifts my mood. I'm like, okay, I'm cleansed and purified and ready to go. While other times, I gotta spend hours to just be in my own little bubble, my own little world. Especially when I've been surrounded by a lot of people, spending time with a lot of people, been on a lot of calls, a lot of communicating, a lot of taking on other people's energies, feelings, emotions, and stories, and not letting them in. It's important for all of us, and all of you have similar, if not the same, experiences where you're helping others, and you take on that energy as well. So find that healthy balance, which will lead to happier and healthier relationships, and it becomes sustainable. That's what you want. You want sustainability in your life, stability and sustainability. You want to be able to just sustain your ability to help others and put others first. But if your cup is empty or half full, you don't want to be giving from that. Because if it's empty, you're giving from an empty well. If it's half full, how long will it be before it runs out? And I'll give you an example, which is like a technology example, but it can be applied to us because we are just like a battery. So when we are at the cottage and we're hotspotting from our phone because there's no internet yet. So if I'm hotspotting from my phone, some of you have experienced this. My phone goes from 20% to 5% in like 10 minutes, whereas normally it can last me quite some time. But if I'm using that battery, and the battery gets used quite a bit by these people, by these energies that we're not aware of, because I'm hotspotting, let's say my son, and somebody else jumps on the hotspot that knows the password, and somebody else, it will drain my battery like this. Right? Which means then I got to plug it in and charge it. And as it's charging, it continues to be drained. Sometimes the charger is not charging fast enough for the battery to be recharged, and it continues to drain. So the drainage is faster than the charge itself. And this is what happens in our day to day. That's why it's important to recharge yourself, whatever that is to you. I like to remind everyone the bookends are important. How you end your day and how you start your day are important. And only you can figure out what that is for you in a way that is going to be releasing and healing and allow you to sleep and get a good night's rest. Because that is important. Sleep is important. It really is. And then in the morning, you got to make sure that your battery is charged. You might need to charge it up a little bit more. So that way, throughout your day, there's going to be leeches sucking your energy. It's normal. You can't fully avoid it. Someone thinks about you that you know, and they might be across the ocean. By them thinking about you, they're taking some of that energy, and yet they're also sending you energy. So there's a little bit of that exchange. But what they're sending it to you might be negative. What they're taking might be positive. Or regardless, energy is energy, positive or negative. You want to make sure that you're giving from your full battery. And turn off your hotspot. Now, Yana, what do you mean by turn off your hotspot? What that means is sit down and do a visualization practice where with the one, I kind of change it up, but the one that comes to mind right now is that you're sitting down and you're in a bubble, and you can sense, you don't need to know who's on the other end, but you can sense these, let's say, cords, like charging cords being attached to you, and they're coming from everywhere. And sometimes when you're doing this visualization, you might be shocked by how many of these cords you see attached to you throughout your body. Okay. So you see this cord attached to you. Your job is to say, no, thank you, or thank you for thinking about me, for sending me your energy. I release you. I let you take your charge elsewhere, or charge yourself from someone else. Whatever thoughts or words come to mind that will help you to be thankful for someone attaching themselves to you. And then trusting that I trust that you are more than capable of recharging yourself, that you do not need to use me as the source of your battery needing to be recharged, or as that plug in the wall. I'm no longer your plug. I trust that you will find the right plug for you within you. And Earth is the best way to do that. You can just recharge yourself from Earth, and then do that for every cord, or for all of them all at once. And because if you're doing it all at once, you're going to be just visualizing, pulling yourself off. It depends how many of them, how much time and energy you want to spend there. You don't necessarily want to rush the process, but at the same time, you don't want to create this visualization experience as your source of anxieties. And for some of you, you might still be in that beginning stages of not being able to visualize those things yet, visualizing those chords. So just focus, maybe not necessarily the cord, but like lights or umbilical cords, or maybe even it might be easier to picture one big cord or umbilical cord and a bunch of energies sucking your energy dry through this cord. And then what you can do is you can picture a weapon or a tool, like a samurai sword, or maybe scissors, whatever tool that comes to mind, or an axe, or maybe some other tools that come to mind, that maybe even your hand itself becomes sharp, that you can cut it and release it. And this is how you can cleanse yourself of all of these attachments and protect your energy, to make sure nobody else is using your energy. Because it's normal, right? That's why sometimes you'll think of someone and they appear, or they call you, or you receive a letter from them, or receive a message from them, because you're simply thinking about them, and there is that exchange, right? So that's what I would say about how, what happens to you when you always put other people first. And then to stop that practice, if it's not working for you, as I already mentioned, you got to set those boundaries. You got to identify those boundaries, and then you got to set them. No is a full sentence. Sometimes somebody asks you to do something, you don't want to do it, just say no. Just say no. It's up to you to set those boundaries. Nobody's going to read your mind. Nobody's going to set them for you. They must come from you. Spend time in reflection, in self-reflection. Identify why you prioritize others. What are you getting out of that? And essentially, what's in it for you? And then what are you losing by doing that? Maybe you're putting others because of the fear of conflict, fear of saying no, or fear of not feeling, fear of appreciation or validation, or someone might not approve of you, or might not like you. This people pleasing that might be coming to mind, or might be something else. Prioritize your self-care. That's important, which I already talked about. Practice assertiveness. Now, more often than not, we cross the very fine line between assertiveness and anger. Assertiveness is misused, or anger is misused assertiveness. So, you have already been practicing assertiveness when you express your anger. Now, instead of being angry and using the emotion of anger, practice being assertive, confident in what you say without making it personal. Say what you want to say from a place of love and not from a place of anger. Speak from your heart and not from your mind. Yet, you need to also learn how to connect the two. Most people live with their head and heart and soul disconnected. You got to connect them, unite them as they once were. Reevaluate some of these relationships, which I touched upon a little bit. But if you are giving and giving and giving, and it's draining and draining and draining, and you're just being used and you're not liking how you're being used, there's no value in it for you, reevaluate that relationship. Now, does not mean you got to end it. It might mean boundaries, speak up, change that relationship in one way or other way or many other ways. Or it might mean let that relationship go because it is no longer serving you and you don't see it serving you or being valuable to you in any near future. And if at some point it will be, it'll come back to you. What's meant to be yours will always come back. And when it comes to prioritizing yourself, if you have not done that yet, you got to start small, baby steps. You didn't learn how to walk in a day. You didn't learn how to run in a day. It took you how long? For my son, 9.5 months. For our daughter, a year. For me, I don't remember. For you, you might not remember. For your kids, you might remember how long it took them to learn how to walk. Learning takes time and patience. You didn't see your children getting frustrated and angry when they couldn't take a step. They were a best visual description and definition of patience, especially when they were little, when they didn't receive as much programming from us and from the external world as they have now at this age and stage that they're at. When they were little, they were very patient. They were calm. They were able to get dressed even though they didn't know how to, and they were excited. Everything was exciting to them. They learned how to walk, knowing that eventually they will. They didn't doubt themselves. That was just taught to them later. You didn't doubt yourself when you were little. You were confident. You knew you were going to walk because there was proof everywhere. You knew that you were going to talk because there was proof everywhere. You knew you were going to get yourself dressed because there was proof everywhere. Whereas now, proof is everywhere, and these eyes are not seeing it. Seek support. All the things that I talked about, if you're still struggling and not able to set the boundaries or identify what works for you, what doesn't, when it comes to the relationships with yourself and with others, and your self-care and your self-love practices, or maybe your mindset, seek support. You got access to friends, you got access to therapists, you got access to psychiatrists, to coaches, to numerous amount of experts. Figure out who's the right person for you to help you on your current journey of your wants and needs and your desires right now that will help you to get there. They have a path and a plan to help you get there. And hopefully the one that you come up with, and not the one that, oh, here's what it is exactly, and you're going to do exactly this, and no veering off. It's important to, this is what it is, apply it how it makes sense to you. Let's talk about it. Let's work through it, right? And let's make it yours. And also, through the support of others, your perception will change. Your lenses, how you see things, how you perceive things, how you understand things will start to slowly change. Surround yourself with people that you want to be more like, and not the people that, the people that challenge you are there for you, but people that don't challenge you, that don't support you, and still are keeping you in the place of staying small. You don't want those people on that journey, because they will be your anchor to the version of yourself that you probably don't want to stay as, because you want to grow and evolve. You don't want to be anchored down. You want to feel free on your journey, on your growth to wherever it is that you want to go. Having a support fortress and having people to support you is important, just like you will be supporting them. It needs to be an equal exchange. And then reflect on those outcomes of notice how you feel when you prioritize yourself. Recognize the positive effects of that and reinforce that change and stay consistent. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you want to be consistency, you must be consistent in one area of your life, and it will transfer into another, onto another, onto another, and it's magical. You will become consistency. You want to be disciplined, you got to start in one area. However small or big it might be, I recommend starting small, making your bed every day. Become disciplined with making your bed, because discipline is the ultimate act of self-love, because you're putting yourself first. You want to be disciplined, you got to practice that. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So practice discipline, consistency every single day in one area of your life, and it will transfer onto others, onto others, onto others. And if you want your relationships to change, if you want your life to change, if you want your kids to change, you want your partner to change, you want anyone outside of you or anything outside of you to change, you got to stop waiting for that, because it's never going to happen. You're going to start focusing on yourself and your own personal growth and development. Those two things are one in this, they're connected, they're together, they're one and two of the same-ish. One is your learning, the other one is your applying. Personal development is your learning, personal growth, you're applying, and you're experiencing the growth. Focus on yourself, your growth. Invest in yourself. Time, energy, money, if that is what is the next step is. And then apply what you're learning. Watch yourself grow and flourish, and others will follow suit. Others will feel your growth and evolution. And even if no one and nothing outside of you, the external world, changes, because you have grown and you have changed, you and your perception has, how you see everything and everyone will change. You will see everyone in your life as if they have spent time and energy learning and growing and changing, when the reality is they might not have. But they might also find themselves starting to, at their own pace, at their own time, and getting to that choice on their own without you pressuring them. If you keep telling someone you need to change this, you need to change that, they will be less likely to do something about it. It needs to be coming from within, from themselves, that they are the ones that want to change. So that is all that I have for you all today. Thank you, ladies, for being on here with me. I saw quite a few on here being live. Thank you, Rebecca, for commenting. And Rebecca says, great analogy. This is where I was talking about the hot spotting of the phone and the battery of the phone, and how we are being used ourselves energetically. Story of my life, she says. That's why I, dearest, when Charlotte wakes up before me. That's why you take care of yourself when Charlotte wakes. Dearest. Maybe you meant like you feel stressed and you feel like you don't get it to take care of yourself when Charlotte wakes up before you, because you have that time for yourself before she wakes up, and then she starts waking up before you. It's like derailed in the way. And the parasites that you were talking about, that when we talking about the visualization of the cords and people sucking our energy. And then Rebecca says, have to get used to not caring what others think of you to be able to say no. Yeah. What other people think or say about you is none of your business, unless you make it your business. And when you make it your business, you're going to be draining energy. People will always talk about you. People will always think about you, positively or negatively. Doesn't matter. Let them. Don't make it your business. Let them. It becomes easier. Detached involvement. Detach yourself. Don't involve yourself with other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, unless it is your business and you're getting paid for that. And even then, you don't need to take it personally and bring it all in and make it yours, because it's not yours, it's theirs. People are going through a hard time. Let them. They want your help. They will ask you for it. They don't want your help. They'll let you know. Let them. It's easier. And sometimes it's easier said than done. But with practice, it becomes easier. So that is all that I wanted to share with you all for today. Thank you very much for all of you being on here and all of you listening and watching on the replay. Say hey if you haven't done so already. Until we see each other next Tuesday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time ish for another one of these story time with myself, Yana Kasperczak. Or we'll see each other tomorrow live in our Heal the Unicorn Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth Facebook group, where Bethany and I will be going live with our podcast, Heal the Unicorn. Always a powerful topic that helps you to heal and spiritually grow and evolve. I have been on a mission to raise the consciousness of the world one person at a time for many years, starting with myself. And I live by example. I set the example, and then I help others by being that example. And this is what each and every one of you is doing as well. So until we see each other next time, thank you, everybody. Have an amazing the rest of your day. Bye.